question to start with is probably, what drew you to sustainable fashion in the first place?
I think the same thing that drew a lot of people to it. It's just, we're destroying the earth.
Yeah.
It needs to stop. There's some crazy stat, like, there's enough clothing already in the world to clothe the next 8 generations. I don't know. It's a big number. And I'm just overwhelmed by how much stuff we're making. I've been in fashion for 20 years, and I've been working for quite a few brands. And the amount of stuff we make season to season, just, it doesn't even see the shops. It just gets bin or recycled. It's just insane. So I just wanted to make clothes that are made out of other clothes, stuff that people don't want. And I quite like the design challenge of it. It's much more exciting than just working with a bit of plain fabric.
Very creative.
I try to.
Yeah. I was going to say, because you're being sustainable, do you find it difficult to be just as creative, or do you not find that problem?
No, I quite like those limitations. So, for instance, if I'm upcycling, say, an old 80s rain mac, turning into something, the restrictions are what drive you to be creative in the first place. So you'll say, okay, I like those pockets, where can I use them? You don't have a choice of how big those pockets are, you just have to make them work. So finding creative solutions is actually, you kind of design it out of necessity, problem solving, rather than out of thin air. And I find that much more fun and challenging.
Great. And I was going to say, obviously you design your own clothing. What products do you use to try and be sustainable?
I try and use stuff that people don't want anymore. So I started with my own wardrobe. So I think most of my age have got quite a few suits in their wardrobe. When there's nothing really wrong with them, they're just out of style, or they just don't get worn.
Yeah.
So I started taking suits apart and turning them into things I liked. I had quite a few raincoats which weren't that nice anymore. Old shirts, which I chop up and put back together again. So essentially anything that's not needed. I can't stand it when you see people upcycling perfectly good stuff and then just making a mess of it and just doing their names. So.
Do you find it a challenge?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what life's about, right?
Exactly.
Setting yourself goals and achieving them.
Yeah. Would you say, from when you began 20 years ago, has it improved majorly, or would you say there's still improvement that needs to be?
It hasn't really changed that much because it's much more of a buzzword now. I mean, last few companies I worked for, I designed jeans, and there was a real point of making every single pair of jeans we made had to have some kind of sustainable story to it, whether it was recycled post-consumer linen, post-consumer linen, contain organic fibers, it contained recycled fibers, recycled polyester, but it didn't actually, it had that label on as kind of a way of communicating to the customer that we were thinking about it. But if you look at the actual stats of how the world has changed in terms of how much fabrics we recycle now, it's actually less than it was, say, 15 years ago, which is crazy. And it's also nonsense. Like, the claims that things are organic, or things are made from organic cotton, if you add up all the cotton that claimed to be organic cotton, compared to how much is actually made in the world, there's a massive disparity. There's not enough organic cotton made in the world to account for what people say is organic. Someone lying. It's like olive oil. You know when you see that olive oil, it says it's...
but there's not much oil.
Yeah, and people say it's all that there's not enough organic olives in the world to make... I don't know a better way to say it. But yes, but no, it's not really improved. People are talking about it more, but it's still not really improved that much.
Would you give any advice for people to go more green, I guess, clothing-wise?
I don't think it's up to the consumer, really. It's just, I mean, it's about educating the customer, but as long as companies keep producing what looks like amazing clothing at amazing value, then they're going to keep buying it. That's the sad fact of it. People vote with their wallets. Even from a design perspective, you'll be a company will make. So you go to a factory and you want to make a pair of jeans and you say, I want to make these jeans, and then they'll present you with, oh, this is what you wanted, and this is our sustainable version, but it's 4 years more expensive, and then we have a budget to hit because our bosses want a certain margin on everything, so we can't even sell them that one. So we can't even sell the expensive one, we have to go with the cheaper one. And until the customer knows it that way, it's going to change. I don't think it's simple.
Yeah. Do you think it will change much though in the next, like, I don't know, 10 years if everyone keeps doing what they're doing?
I don't be
Hope
cynical.
so.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I don't think it will. I think we can have these conversations in these conferences, but until the creative director for big companies actually steps in and says, we don't want to use that now, we want to use this one. Yeah.
So it's all down to that, but
It's got to start big.
I like that perspective.
It's a shame though, because, yeah.
Well, no, but if people like you are doing what you're doing, we should play a part in making it better.
Yeah, definitely not adding to the solution, adding to the problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, just start small. You can inspire one person to go to charity shop.
Like what we were saying, especially we need just quite a few charity shops and stuff and vintage places. And like we were saying, in the last 5 years, we do think we're better, being more sustainable because we're going to them shops rather than just doing online shopping and stuff. But,
Yeah, it is good.
yeah.
But to be cynical again, what's quite annoying is if you go to a lot of these charity shops, a lot of the products in it is Zara, it's H&M,
It's not
is a
being
bit,
too sustainable.
yeah, it's just, cause all that stuff is now filtering into charity shops that wasn't that well made to begin with, so it's not making the marks that long. So all the really good stuff from like the 50s, 60s and 70s, even the 80s, before it was mass produced, and before it was heavily polyester woven, all that good stuff is still around, but it's being swamped now by all the mass produced stuff from this century.
Well, I think that is
Miserable
actually,
story.
I think that is actually all the questions answered then.
Great.
You've answered them well. So
Have I?
thank you for your time. Yeah.